Hi, and thanks for tuning in to this week's installment of Ask Emily, where I will be answering all of your questions related to starting your own business. This first question comes from Kate, who said, if you could go back in time to when you were starting out and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? I'm going to give myself two pieces of advice because I think I really could have used some help back then. The first would be to be a lot easier on myself, to realize that I'm not going to get everything perfect the first time around. That goes from everything from designing my header. I mean, if you had seen kind of the first iteration of my header, I hope that there's not like some image of it still floating around out there. To finding my voice. I was super awkward addressing my readers, trying to treat them. I was like this mother hen being like, my darlings, like that's so not me. But eventually all of that kind of came together and my blog is where it is today. So I think to acknowledge the fact that you aren't going to get things correct or perfect right away is okay. The second thing I would tell myself is to rely on other people. I have always been fiercely independent and love the idea that I'm really proactive and can figure out anything on my own. And I think that's a good quality, but at the same time, I think everyone has their limits and it's important to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And when there is something you're not great at, find out help from someone else, whether it's asking a resource where you work, a friend, but just knowing how to ask for assistance when necessary, I think is really important. This question is from Amanda, who said, what has been the best return on investment when it comes to marketing and advertising? In the beginning, how did you choose when and where to contribute as a guest blogger and author? And what is the best way to promote your posts? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, or the various blog organizations? Thanks. I never paid for advertising with my blog, but I was pretty good about marketing, especially in the beginning. I read a book on SEO, or site engine optimization. It was completely foreign to me, so I found it really helpful to learn some tricks. I would spend about an hour a day commenting on other blogs that I read and enjoyed. I didn't go just because they had high traffic or a lot of comments. I read things I genuinely liked and I would leave insightful comments hoping that they would then come back to my site. From there, sometimes I would develop relationships with those bloggers, and I think that's really important to have that kind of a networking skill. And then sometimes we would exchange links, which was important, especially back in the day. Having people on your blog roll and then reciprocating was really important. Back in the day, there really was no social media. I had no footprint whatsoever, but I think it's important to have a different strategy across each platform. I don't think one is necessarily better or bigger than others. I've had luck on all of them, but I, again, go about each one differently. If you're looking to be a prominent person on Pinterest, don't just be trying to promote your own posts and get people back to your site. Be really diligent about going on every day and really committing your time to having really excellently curated posts and boards that people will then go see. And if you do kind of sneak in some of your own stuff that is relevant, people will see it and really appreciate it. But I think the most important thing is to really remain active on social media, create great content on your site that will eventually get syndicated. Anytime there's an opportunity to do a guest post for someone, take that opportunity and really make those relationships happen. Carolyn asked, when you were first getting started with your business, what drove you to get home from work each night and to work even more? I am currently working full-time and feel like I'm often so exhausted after work, I can't always motivate myself to sit down and refocus on a new project. This is something that, looking back on my first 2 years of Cupcakes and Cashmere, where I was working a full-time job and then coming home and basically blogging into the wee hours of the night, I kind of still can't believe that I did that. But I think first and foremost, the most important thing is that you're working on things that you're passionate about. Especially at the beginning of when I was working on my blog, there was nothing financially lucrative involved. I had no readers, no commenters. I was doing it simply because I was really feeling creatively fulfilled and loved what I was doing. I had set myself up for something and I wanted to stick with it. So that's kind of what kept me motivated. And everyone has different things that will get them going. But as soon as I started getting some traction and I had a few readers besides just my parents and my husband, I started getting excited. I would get some comments occasionally, and then things started to grow from there, and it became easier and easier to kind of amount that time that I'm spending each night. But it's a lot, and you need to be very motivated on your own first and foremost. But for those days where you are exhausted, and there will always be those nights where you would rather watch a movie or go out to dinner, try to treat yourself. If you are going to be at your computer for the next few hours, pour yourself a glass of wine and know that at the end of the work, you are going to take a long bath or whatever it is to kind of keep you going. I think that will also really help. Thanks for tuning in to this week's installment of Ask Emily. And please continue sending in your questions to me via the comment section on my blog or through social media with the hashtag AskEmily.